Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Red Valkyrie Presents. I'm, of course, your host, Shae the Red, with my amazing co-host, Cyborg Valkyrie. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. How are you doing today, Shae?
I'm good. I feel good about today's shows. I really do.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited because we are meeting our brand new friend of the show. We have Barb hanging out with us. And yes, I intentionally did not say your last name because I don't want to
shorted it.
It's Barb. We got Barb.
It's pronounced Kaalberg, but I'll answer to "Hey you." You know.
I think I would have totally messed that up.
I would have said "call" with the.
Yeah,
with
I think
the
people do. I think it was probably that's supposed to be that way in the end, but they probably Americanized it when they.
Yeah, probably. I don't.
So, you know.
You know what? As somebody who has also a unique actual first name, I totally get it because my first name's Shalise, but everybody calls me Chelsea, Cherie, Shanae, Chanel. What did I get? I got a lot of Shanice growing up, and when I was like, "There's no N in my name," they were like, "I just know it's a black girl's name." I was like, we got issues that we got to talk about. Yeah. That's where you go. I was like, "That's French, but okay." Like,
it's
whatever.
Hard to mess up Barb, but Nickelodeon managed it.
Really?
Brab?
Yeah, well, no, Babra. They put my name
Babra?
in credits for Angry Beavers as Babra. I mean, how can you
wait,
Barbara up?
Hold on, time out. I'm sorry, Angry Beavers?
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me right now?
Nope.
Oh my gosh, I'm so fucking happy. You gotta be joking. I loved Angry Beavers so much. Like that, All Real Monsters, Hey Arnold, Rocko's Modern Life, all that crap growing up was like my jam.
I did the Halloween special.
That is so cool. Okay, Barb's got cool points, everyone. She's hanging out with us from now on. We're good. All right, before we get into why we are talking to Barb, our new best friend, because Angry Beavers was amazing, I guess we got a cosplay reveal we got to do, Sai?
Yes, we do. And I'm just finding the fucking thing. You know what?
Yeah.
First you get this, then I'll get to the drum roll.
I love you.
Fuck off.
That's fair.
Metamorphosis completed, sir.
Shae the Red
has now become
awesome.
So, Barb is here with Silverline because Silverline has how many different titles, books going? There's like 1 million IPs that you guys got at once.
Currently, we're kickstarting 4 books on this Kickstarter because we've got so many IPs. This is our 20th quick Kickstarter.
Jeez a Lou. Well,
that wasn't even a word.
Jeez a Lou.
It is now.
Shut up. Yeah, nobody asked you, Sai. Gosh. So, I was going through and looking at all of the amazing options that I had. And while Sai was really, really rooting for pink-haired girl in towel, I chose something slightly more clothed. So, maybe we wouldn't get booted off of YouTube.
No. I've managed that before.
Look, I'm telling you, Barb needs to be like our new buddy. We need to have Barb come hang out with us,
especially if she's getting kicked off YouTube.
She's got stories. I'm loving it.
I've been doing this for 30 years plus, so I have stories. So you came as Crimson, didn't you?
Yeah, the girl coming out of the book.
Yep.
Yes. I like her. I like the fact that she looks incredibly demonic, and it gave me an excuse to put in red contacts again.
There you go.
So excited. All right, so this, like you said, 4 comics in 1 Kickstarter. So I'm just gonna let you kind of first off tell everyone about Silverline for people who maybe haven't heard of you, and then let's roll into what the books are for this one.
All right. Well, Silverline is kind of an umbrella of creators. About 5 years ago, Dean Zachary, Roland Mann, and I got together to kickstart Cat and Mouse again, which was a popular book back in the 90s of Roland's. And during the course of kickstarting, it was very successful. We were all ex-Malibu alums from back in the day.
Very cool.
You know, we've been around for a long time. And if anybody ever tells you that ageism in comics doesn't exist, they are lying through their teeth. There's a lot of artists out there that are just as good as they ever were, and they can't get work to save their life. So we just said, screw that. We'll do our own books. And we started Silverline 3.0. It's been a company a couple of other times under Roland. But this time he said, look, if we're going to do this, I am not going to do it all by myself like I tried to do the first 2 times. It's going to be a community effort. He says, Barb, do you have any other skills besides inking? And I said, well, I spent 20 years as a corporate accountant. It's like, great, you're the new CFO.
Fantastic. This is one of the most important jobs, because if we fuck this up, the IRS is going to let us know. Right. So it's not your job.
And so when new talent would come on board, we'd say, do you have any other talents that you can kick into the pot?
Nice.
And basically it's just become an umbrella of creators that we do our own stories. Silverline takes a small percentage, but all the royalties left after that, after the cost of printing, the shipping, and an administration fee is split up amongst the creators.
Very cool.
I don't know how many books we've got now. A lot. A couple of dozen titles now.
I was going to say, if you scroll down here where you get to just see all of the Silverline stuff that you guys have, and it's way down here because there's so much on this campaign that you can look at.
Those are the books, yeah.
These are the ones that aren't on the campaign, by the way. These are the additional Silverline books that aren't the main focus of this campaign, and they just keep going. Like, there's a lot of them.
Divinity is my own creator-owned one. When I hit 60 3 years ago, I decided if I was ever going to break out of just an inker, I better get off my ass and do it. So it was time to push the envelope. So I started writing my own book. I bought an iPad, taught myself coloring, which I'd never done digital art in my life. I was always, if it isn't original art, I take it.
Nice.
So I love digital art now. I digitally ink, I digitally color. Divinity won the best new independent of 2020. So
very cool.
I write, color, and ink that one. I ink Cat and Mouse, and I'm coloring Sirens, which is one of the books that's currently kickstarting.
Yes, that is so cool. That is, I love that you were like, if I ever want to do my own thing, I'm gonna have to just
get off your ass and do it.
Learn to do it. I'm gonna have to figure it out, because that, in all honesty, that same kind of mentality and that same kind of like drive and passion is a lot of what Shae and I have behind Red Valkyrie, where we were like, I've got a little over 3 years left in the military. I really want to have a career that I get to control, because I've spent 16 and a half years with other people telling me what I can and can't do. I want to control all of my own stuff. And so, 3 years ago, Shae came to me and was like, let's do a channel. And I was like, this is a chance. This is a chance to do something different. And so I started doing cosplay. I started really pushing for all of the streaming and everything. And we've done well so far. We're still growing, still new. But
and you're never too old to learn new things. I mean, just think, Grandma Moses didn't start painting until she was 84 years old, or 80, something like that. So you're only as young as you limit yourself, or as old as you limit yourself to be.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. And that's the funny thing is my mom is in her 70s, and I was talking about this the other day. She's one of those people where she'll wake up and be like, here is my list of things that I need to do. And most people would be like, oh, so does your mom like knit and can food? And I'm like, my mom cut down a galvanized fence post, chopped down a tree, carried a bunch of garbage out to this giant dumpster and then rebuilt her own closet. So no, my 70-year-old mom is pretty fucking active and does what she wants. And Sai's mom, who is right around a similar age, we can't get her to stop. We're like, can you please sit? And she's like, but this needs to happen. I'm going to prune this tree that is 2 feet taller than I can reach, and I'm going to figure out a way to do it, even if it looks really dangerous. We're like, for the love of all that is holy, give us the blade. Like, I love you and you're capable, but don't do that. Like, I'm tall. I'll get it.
Drop the machete, Mom.
My husband is 69 and he still does 100 sit-ups and 100 push-ups every morning and then plays pickleball 3 days a week. So
yes. See, I'm also, and that's the other thing. I'm in a volleyball league and we've got a bunch of women. Like, I'll watch the women play and it's like the 70+ league that plays before us. And I watch them play and I'm like, oh, that's a life goal. I want to, when I'm 70, I better be out here looking like that one who looks like she probably plays better than I do. I'm in my 30s. Like, shit, I hope I'm that good when I'm 70 and can still move. That's amazing.
The thing is, just don't stop moving.
Yep.
You know, keep busy, just keep on doing. I can't see myself ever giving comics up. I mean, I did it full time for 12 years through the 90s. I started in 1989 inking for Malibu, the Ultraverse. Started out on Planet of the Apes, actually, for Adventure Comics. And I inked up through 2001.
Okay.
Before the industry kind of imploded. So I went down to do an occasional job here and there and went back to accounting for 20 years. But about 10 years ago, we paid off the house and I said, screw this. I'm going to go back down to part-time now and get back into comics, because once you get into comics, it's like the herpes virus. You can never get rid of it.
That is an interesting way to put it.
Love you. Oh my gosh, my new best friend right now. Holy shit.
But it's never true. Get it out of your blood.
And that's the thing I love is people think that you have to either do something that is going to be profitable or do something that you love. And you know what? You can have them both. It's not easy. It takes a lot of work and dedication, but you can do it. It is possible.
So I went on part-time. I started getting back into comics. I started making books again. And 3 years ago, I retired completely. And this is just what I do now. You know, I have my studio again. I'm doing shows again.
That's so great.
Right before COVID hit, I was contracted with Wizard World to do all of their shows that year. And then I got one in and then COVID shut everything down. And of course, they went belly up too. But
That fucking COVID just destroyed everything.
Yeah,
got rid of my volleyball and then my metabolism just tanked.
In some regards, it was horrible. In other regards, it was a boost to the creative community.
That is very true. I do think that I painted a hell of a lot more and have realized that that's what keeps me sane and from murdering people. And I should probably continue to do that so I don't end up in jail.
Comic sales, Kickstarters especially, or Indiegogo, did great during COVID because people were stuck at home. They wanted to read comics. Yeah. And indie comics are like the wild, wild west right now. I mean, everything goes. You can, you know, you want to have dancing chimpanzees, go ahead and have dancing chimpanzees. You know, if you want to have naked babes on Mars, you can have naked babes on Mars.
I feel like I've backed both of those books, actually. I think that I have those in the short box over here somewhere.
I don't think it gets any stranger than Octopus Cowboy.
Barb, with that. Have you seen what Octopus Cowboy looks like? Because holy...
No, but I'm going to have to look now.
He rides a horse.
He does. He rides a horse.
Fall off.
And he has a little bandito kind of mask thing, and I was like, so people don't recognize the fucking octopus. It's amazing. And it was like, well, no, he does that because there's not water in the desert, and he soaks it, and that's what keeps him wet. And I was like, oh, and it has purpose. I was like, I am so in love with this entire IP because it's just so unique, and I love that. I love that about indie comics because the big two, are very stuck in their ways. They're very,
they are very, very, very. 5 years ago, somebody asked me not too long ago if I would ever go back to DC and Marvel, because I worked for them a lot during the 90s, especially DC. I spent almost a decade with them. And I said, 5 years ago, if you would have asked me, I would have said yes. Now, there's no way I would go back to DC and Marvel. I can do what I want to do. I have my own IP.
Yeah.
We're not being held in check by corporate bean counters or corporate bigwigs who's like, oh gosh, I don't think we can go with this. It's not what our image is about. We don't want to piss anyone off. And no,
Well,
indie comics is where it's at.
And the thing that I think is really funny too, and what I think one of the major downfalls of DC and Marvel specifically, and a little bit Image, because Dark Horse, they're all kind of hitting in the same realm with a lot of stuff. I'm currently taking a marketing class. And in this marketing class, going through these courses, I am looking at the exact thing that my class tells you to beware of in marketing, which is pushing your own personal bias to try and support the data that you want it to tell you is what's successful. And so what they say is you can't, when you're creating your personas, you're creating your target markets and everything, you can't go in there with what you hope your target market is. You have to look at what your actual market is. And I look at everything I'm being taught in a beginner marketing course and everything that happens in the companies that as a consumer, I am the most disappointed in. And I'm going, you know what? You all have bad marketing and bad marketers that are outdated, that don't understand what needs to happen. And because whether you have them because they're poor or you have them because you sought out people to confirm your own bullshit, this is why you're tanking. This is why you're failing. Exactly. Because all you're doing is saying, this is what we want it to be. So this is what we're going to hire people who tell us that's what it is. And then they will tell us how to continue to market to that. And they don't realize all you've done is isolate the entirety of your customer base. Everybody has left because you basically told them they don't matter and you don't want their business. So they took it elsewhere. And that's why indie comics are doing so great.
That's right. I honestly think that indie comics is the future of comics. If we're going to stay relevant and alive, because DC and Marvel are every year, they die a little bit more.
Yep.
And if we're going to keep the industry alive in any shape or form, I think it's through indies. And I mean, take a look at anime. They are just killing us. As far as sales are concerned. Take a page out of their book and see why they are as successful as they are, and study that. And one of the reasons is because they were raised in a culture which was very accepting of comics as a teaching medium, as a entertainment medium, as a reading medium. Whereas in the United States, comics were shoved into this niche where only either nerds read them or kids. So it wasn't acceptable for the sophisticated wonderful person to read comics, and that's bullshit.
Absolutely.
You can't look at Mouse and say that was for kids or that was aimed at a lower intellect. It's a Pulitzer Prize winning comic.
Well, and that's the thing is I think that so many people have this weird preconceived notion about what comics can be and what they can't be. And that's why I love indie comics, because indie comic creators are the ones who are going, yeah, but what if instead of doing a superhero comic, I did a really badass horror comic that didn't hold punches, that was really gruesome, that was really like gut wrenching. And people are like, you took that to DC or Marvel, that'll never sell. No one will buy that. And they're killing it because it's not in a mainstream market. It is everywhere in indie because you can do it and you can do it the way you want to. And you know what? For me, comic books is a perfect blend between a book and a movie, right? Sometimes I feel like movies rush too much and they don't spend enough time really helping you get to the point or fill in blanks. And sometimes they make choices that I don't necessarily agree with. And sometimes books are really bogged down and difficult to get through. And I have a hard time setting aside time to read a book, and my mind wanders because I'm used to, it's like having ADD, but apparently I don't. I've asked, they said I'm good. I think they're full of shit, but I get too distracted if all I'm doing is reading a book. Before I know it, I'm going through what my to-do list is and my grocery list, and I'm not retaining it. But if I get a comic book in my hand or a good graphic novel, I get a little bit of that visual stimulation that's going to then engage my brain enough that I get to fill in some of the blanks, and I get to enjoy the storytelling from a book perspective without zoning out and losing the plot, and without having everything fed to me where I'm not even really paying attention or retaining a lot of it.
Well, that's why I listen to audiobooks when I'm working on my art, because I have a story going in my head and I've got art in front of me. So I'm happy.
Yeah, I am the same way. I love listening to audiobooks when I'm doing stuff at work, where it's like, this is kind of monotonous and I don't really need to, like, actually disengaging from actively thinking about it is going to help me because it's so repetitive. But if I can put an audiobook on, then I still get to have a nice story, and it makes my work not suck.
And this is when you were talking about independence and that they can do stories that the bigs won't. And I keep going back to Strangers in Paradise when we're talking about, because it never fit into any specific niche. It wasn't a superhero book. It wasn't funny books. It wasn't this or that. It was its own type of thing. It was a cross between a soap opera and a thriller. And it was its own thing, but it was so damn popular because it was something that people hadn't seen before, and it was good. And I think, and that was it. He just did it himself. It was an independent, and he really rocked it. And I think that's really what people are looking for. They're looking to get out of a rut. They're looking for something different, something that's going to rock their boat, their world a little bit. And that's where indies are, I think.
Wholeheartedly agree. Okay. All right. We could talk forever. And you know what? Sai, I feel like we might need to have Barb come on Writing Pros. Because I feel like that'd be a good discussion. If we get Barb, Eric, and Gibby all together with you and me.
I think we would never finish a show.
I'm okay with that. I don't think that really. I'm fine with that.
You edit them, so
I know. Famous last words. All right. So, how about you tell us about the titles that are available in this Kickstarter?
All right. Well, the first one we're going to start out with is Twilight Grimm, and this is the 4th book of 4. So if you've read the first 3, you know that the world of Twilight Grimm is basically a city with a wall around it. It's an isolated city. The haves live in the wonderful, beautiful, perfect city, and the have-nots live outside of the wall. The have-nots are your poor, you're unwanted, you're homeless, you're criminals, and vampires.
Very cool.
Yep. And they have had a truce for a long time, which kind of keeps the peace between the two. But some of the vampires want to break this truce, so they're planning to assassinate some important people in the behind the wall, because they want it all. I mean, they're disenfranchised, they're jealous, they want to get in. So Twilight Grimm, he lives outside of the wall, and he's a vampire killer, but he's got a vampire girlfriend. So that kind of throws some complexity into it. And
that Romeo Juliet vibe, man. That's awesome.
So he hates vampires, but he loves to stand up for the disenfranchised other than vampires on the outside of the wall, but he also is friends with people inside the wall. So it becomes this complex drama about the haves and the haves not, and is everybody evil, or can there be good in the world? Cool. Is it all black and white? Well, it can't be. The second book we've got is Kalis, Achilles Has Landed. Now, we've already done the first 4 issues of Kalis, and it is a government conspiracy drama. So if you like the X-Files type thing, you're going to like Kalis. It's about an astronaut named Scott Anders, and he was on board a ship back in the 60s that was shot into space with a crew, and something happened. It was mysterious. They disappeared into this mysterious rift, and then he reappears on Earth now in present day, and gets in all kinds of trouble with the CIA. He has, for some reason or another, he's become indestructible.
Nice.
So the first 4 issues deals with how he comes to terms with the CIA, and this starts out with he's managed to make a deal with the CIA because he needs to get back into space and find out what happened to his crew, and they say that they can make that happen, but he's got to work for them first. So he's kind of under their thumb at the beginning of Kalis, Achilles Landed. Now, Sirens is the one that I am working on. This is a remix of a black and white book from back in the day. And what we're doing is this and Scary Book are both remixes. We've taken black and white comics, we're cleaning them up, not cleaning it up PC wise. We're cleaning them up.
Cleaning up the digital, the digital files.
Cleaning up the digital files.
Got you.
Coloring them. Although I did have to cover up a couple of things in Sirens because they went a little bit too far. I threw shadow across a couple of things, but because Silverline does want to maintain a PG rating.
Oh yeah, that some of those might be a little difficult. Then
Yeah,
you're like, we're gonna do just like a
yes.
silhouette here.
Well, there's a little nip showing there. I better do something about it. So Sirens,
Family-friendly nipples. It's
that's right. So, Sirens is a story that takes place in one of my favorite all-time cities in the world. That's New Orleans. Went down there a few years ago and got ripped off on Bourbon Street, but I still had fun.
well, I feel like that's a rite of passage.
Yes, it was on Fat Tuesday on Bourbon Street too. So I mean, it was yeah, we got the stereotypical Mardi Gras story. So this investment broker, Jeff Delmar, he's disillusioned with life, and then he bumps into this lovely, beautiful girl. Her name is Louise, and they have this whirlwind romance, and then she disappears one day. And he goes to track her down and stumbles into this voodoo world with zombies and witches, and discovers that Lois is actually a loup-garou, which is a shape-changing type of character.
Oh.
And they warn him off. He gets warned off, but he doesn't pay attention, of course. And now he's cursed as well, and he's slowly starting to turn into a zombie. And he needs to find his love, Lois, the loup-garou, and break her spell and his spell. So this is the second of 4. And I've been having a hell of a fun time coloring this, because that's the only thing I'm doing on this is coloring. I'm not inking or writing or anything. So it's just kind of a learning experience. Now, the Scary Book, I have not read this one yet, but I'm looking over. This is one of 4. So this is one I haven't seen yet, but I'm going to read straight from the Kickstarter here because it sounds like a hell of a fun book. It says, when the ruler of Hades notices that hell is turning into a not so bad place, he discovers demons are being summoned to Earth because of a spell book has been released to the public, and now just anybody is summoning demons. And with the demons gone, there's no one to torture souls. So get this. Lou sends for help by sending this demon Crimson back to Earth to fetch the book with the aid of the unwitting bookstore owner, the nerdish, nebbish Marty Applegate.
I've got to ask, how are we spelling fur in Lucy Fur?
F-E-R. It's
okay.
Lou.
Okay.
Lou is his first name, capital C for the middle initial, and F-E-R for the last name.
Well,
I love it.
Didn't go for the low hanging fruit of FUR, so that's fine.
That would have been low hanging fruit, literally.
Yeah. If there's low hanging fruit, Cy will be the one to find it and pluck it. So
Yes, that's. I'm usually the Silverline person that will do that on all of our podcasts. I'm like, oh, Barb, why do you always go there? Because I have to.
Because it's fun, damn it.
Yes.
Shae, I got you to do this channel with me, didn't I?
Oh, that's low.
Exactly.
You are a bitch. It's
They'll
okay.
always
Thank you.
think, yep, she went for it.
Yeah.
Of course she did. It's Barb. I'm gonna also. There's original art for sale. There are commissions to be had, T-shirts to be had, and the one thing that the new Silverline thing that they've done the last few Kickstarters now that we really, really like is that you are allowed to tack on other issues from other books that we've done.
Oh,
So-
I was gonna ask that because I'm like, in this one you're doing like book 4 out of 4, but if people are just now finding you,
That's right.
so you can add on 1 through 3, and
Yeah.
so you can have the full collection. I like that.
Yeah, this is something that Kickstarter started up this year, is that they rearranged the way that you could do things on there. So we throw up all of the past issues of everything, and you want issue number 1 of Divinity, issue 1 and 2 of Divinity, or you see the first 4 issues of Kalis here, or you see Teen Beetle. Oh, those look good too. You can toss them right onto this Kickstarter and buy them too. And it's
That is
basically
awesome.
like going into a store and picking out what you want. So it's a lot of very handy to have. You can also get all the back issues on the Silverline website, but as long as you've got them available on this Kickstarter, why not go for it?
Absolutely. I definitely think that that's the right move. The other thing I was going to ask is, so you guys are doing this mostly on Kickstarter. Have you ever looked at Indiegogo or considered doing Indiegogo campaigns, maybe as like catch-up campaigns after Kickstarter finishes?
Indiegogo is more skewed towards graphic novels than single floppies. So once we get, like Kalis has got 4 issues done, it's going to be bound into a graphic novel though, and those will be sold on Indiegogo.
Okay.
We've done our research. We tried Indiegogo a couple of times, and we've found that people on there prefer to buy full graphic novels and not floppies.
Yeah, usually they like the page count being a little bit higher. I totally understand that.
So we do those singles on Kickstarter. Once we've got 4 issues, then we'll bind them and sell them on Indiegogo as well.
Very good. Very
We're
good.
getting very close to going the distributor route too, but we're not quite there yet, even though we've got a ton of titles.
Yeah. Well, and definitely, like, especially if you guys could, end up as your own publisher and fulfillment center, that'd be amazing with everything that you've got.
We are our own publisher and fulfillment.
Yeah.
The only thing our fulfillment is basically Roland's Garage, but still.
I was meaning like the printing side of it as well. Like that's always like a whole other, bit of advancement, but it does.
Ball of wax. That's what you're looking for, babe.
Ball of wax. That is what I'm looking for. Thank you.
The good thing about that is we go through Kablam, which
Uh-huh.
is down in Florida within like a half an hour drive from Roland. And one of the owners of Kablam, Tommy Floramonte, is actually one of our inkers. So,
well, that helps.
Yeah, one of the owners of our printing company is actually a Silverliner.
Okay.
So we do kind of have our own printing company, but they still make us pay.
That is true. That is true. Cy, you unmuted. Were you going to say something?
I was, and then I decided against it.
Okay.
Oh.
Cy tries to engage that filter every now and then. So this is
Thanks.
very rarely. So this is kind of our creative teams for each of the current ones that are on featured on this campaign, right?
Yep. R.A. Jones, Mickey Clausen. These are old Malibu alums. Actually, R.A. Jones is my scripter for my own book, Divinity. I write it and plot it, but I'm still learning scripting. So he kind of co-writes scripts with me. Rob Davis goes way, way back. He's been in 30 plus years too. Mike Belcher's an old pro. Most of the people that you're going to see here are old pros. Brent Larson, he's actually a script writer in Hollywood, doing like documentaries.
Very cool.
I am not familiar with Lewis, but he's Brazilian, I believe. And Leandro, his colors are just spectacular. In Siren, Sidney Williams is another old pro that goes way back. Chuck Bordell, I'm sure that you've heard his name over the years. John Drury, another old, as you can see by looking at our pictures.
I love that this is like a photo that looks like it was taken out of the back of a magazine or an older book, and it's like, just use that one. It's fine. It's like, I don't want to take a new one. Just do that one.
When you see, how some of these are more mature than some of the photos that you see, that you can kind of guess that we've been doing this for a long time. So we're not new to the game.
No.
So you're going to get a quality product.
Absolutely. Yeah. And honestly, the thing that I think I like the best is y'all just look like you're having fun.
Oh, yeah.
Like everybody looks
we're
like
not in it for the money. Not yet, anyway. We're doing it because we love the genre. Like I said before, once you're in the game, you can't ever get out. I mean, you can try to get out. I've had a lot of friends that have gone into teaching or done art for companies and stuff like that. I worked for a printing company, even if it was in their accounting department and stuff like that. But they would always get me to proofread and stuff, their copy ad. You still end up coming back eventually, because you just cannot get away from it. Once it's in your blood, it's in your blood for the rest of your life. It's like being bitten by the bug, and you will always come back to it. You'll always crawl back to it on your hands and knees, maybe, but you'll crawl back.
Yeah, I feel like it's really similar too with cosplay. Once you do like one or two pretty good cosplays, it's really hard to not, because every time you see a new character design, you're like, oh,
it's addicting.
I want to do that. And you're like, oh, and if I did that and I cut it like this and I use this material, like, oh, that would look so cool. And then you're like, all right, just one more. It's fine. Just this one. This will be the last one. Like, no, it's not. It's not going to be the last one at all. All right. These are amazing, and I'm really happy that so I was gonna say, I like how everything has its own unique kind of look to it too, and obviously that's gonna happen when you have different creative colorists, inkers, artists, and everything, but it feels like it's really focused on what's going to work best for that story, because you've got this is sitting kind of nice and traditional with what you would expect in a graphic novel. And then we go down to Kalis, and this is like massive color blocks. And yes. I dig this. I feel like this kind of stuff, that it almost feels like pop art, where everything is like really vibrant, bright colors with just tiny variations here and there to help bring out certain details. And these are the things that draw me to a lot of different indie comics, just because it's different and it's unique, and it's cool to see something like that.
You're going to see such a huge variety of styles at Silverline too. We have art styles that range all the way from the simplest kind of cartoony looking stuff all the way to your image looking stuff. It's really amazing how many kinds of talent that we have under our umbrella.
Yeah, well, and like, so just like, Scary Book looks really a lot more lighthearted and a lot more kind of like old school, almost like the funny books, just because of the characters and the exaggerated designs of them, and like the hair on, your main, I'm assuming this is Lou, and everything, where it's like coming out super, crazy like a cone. And then when you look up Sirens has that really nice like classic. This is like to me this feels like the old school, when you go and pick up the comics that my brother would have been reading and stuff, where it's got a much more classic feel as opposed to this that has like the super saturated feel of what we do mostly today. You kind of have gone with a really cool kind of
Throwback to the
classic.
90s.
Yeah, like a little more muted and a little bit more focused on I guess kind of accentuating the art that's there, as opposed to a lot of colorists nowadays almost take center stage with a lot of their colors, because they're bright and vibrant. And I've seen people that have done beautiful pencils, and then I've seen colorists who have gone in and colored it, and I was like, these are both beautiful pieces of art, but these are two different pieces of art.
I think that probably comes from 30 years as an inker, where my philosophy when I was inking, and I've inked a lot of people, was that I should enhance their art, but never override it.
Exactly. Yep. And I think that like you having the background of an inker shows as you're doing colors, because you're like, I'm not taking center. Like the person who penciled it was the one who created it into fruition. The person who inked it helped enhance what the penciler was attempting to get across. The person who colors it helps bring it all cohesively together and gives it that color pop. But they're all working to highlight that same piece of art. Whereas nowadays it's a penciler will draw something and it'll be awesome. The inker will ink over it and it looks very different. And then the person will color it and we are in a totally different world. And if you look at the colored finished product and the pencils, you're like, wow, that's weird that that's the same thing. Like I can see where the similarities are, but I can also see where there were a lot of liberties taken along the route.
For instance, I inked Howard Porter on Hawkman. Now, Howard Porter is a much bigger name than I am. So when you buy Hawkman, you're buying Hawkman to see Howard Porter's art. You're not buying it to see Barb Kaalberg's art. So you never want to drown your penciler. You know, you want to enhance him, make him look good, and make the whole team look good. And so your penciler's like, oh, I want her back.
Yeah.
She can ink me anytime.
Yeah, exactly. And I think some of it comes down to experience, and a lot of it I think comes down to ego. You have a lot of people that have a hard time not being the central focus and the name pull and everything. And it's like, yeah, but see, if you're a really good inker, you may not be like the name that pulls in necessarily the customers, but you'll be the name that pulls in more clients who want to work with you to have you ink them, because they know that you're going to help make them look good.
Yep, you get more pencilers that ask for you by name because they know that you're not going to screw them up, their stuff up. And the other big thing was that in all the years that I've been inking, I've never missed the deadline. And see, that's huge.
That's huge. Oh my gosh, people suck at deadlines. And that's the one thing I will say with indie comics. A lot of you indie creators, get your shit together with your deadlines, because holy cow, some of them are bad.
Yeah, that's another thing with Silverline is we never kickstart a book unless it's completely finished first.
Yep.
We don't say, oh, give us the money now and we'll think about getting started.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah, so that is one really good piece of I guess security that you're giving the audience, is that everything that you see on a Kickstarter is already 100% done. It's not 80% done. It's not 95%. It's done. It's
99.9% done, because we have to do the thank you page.
Oh,
that's it.
There's one page.
Yep.
One page for thank yous. No, that's awesome. I think that's a really smart way to do it. I understand for some people, especially people that are, writers that are like one-man shows that have to pay for an artist, an inker, a letterer, an editor, all of that stuff. You have to pay for it out of pocket. I understand. It's expensive. I understand needing to kickstart or to Indiegogo ahead of time, so you have the funds so you can finish it. But personally, like from a personal standpoint, when we do our books,
from a consumer standpoint, you want to know that that book is going to be in your hand.
Yes.
And that you're going to, the money that you spend is money well spent.
Yeah.
And in our case, you're going to have it within like a month, from the time that the pledge drive wraps up, you're going to have that book in a month.
Absolutely. That's a fantastic way to do it. And again, I understand not every indie creator can do that, but I will say that would be what I would put as a goal. And I know that when Red Valkyrie is doing their books, that's going to be one of my goals, is that I want them done. Yeah. I want them done except for being printed.
Right.
Like,
I mean, because every single person at Silverline, except for me and maybe one other person who are retired and can do it when we ever want, they all have other jobs. So they're not depending on this book to give them a living. The books that they work, we're doing it in the evenings and on weekends and not sleeping and stuff like that, because we love what we're doing. Yeah. So we're putting the books together on our spare time and then kickstarting. And yes, that does mean that sometimes it's going to be longer between issues, and that's the trade-off. Yeah, that's the trade-off is longer time between issues, because we're doing it in our spare time, as opposed to giving up your day job and focusing just on comics and turning one out every month or every 2 months. We can't all be a Brian.
All right, let's go over. We got just a few minutes left. Let's go over your pledges so people know what they can get at what levels.
Okay. All right. I'm actually looking at my own page here. This is an extravaganza. So our first pledge is for $30. You can get the print version of all 4 of the comics with your Kickstarter exclusive covers. And that's going to be all of the books plus the digital books. Mm-hmm.
So if you want the digital, each of the individual digitals are available for $10 before that. And there is a $20 extravaganza all digital if you want to get everything, but you don't, maybe you're overseas, you don't want to pay the shipping for overseas. Maybe we have a lot of friends who have mail carriers that are horrendous with their packages and destroy everything. And so they don't buy physical comics because they've spent money on physical comics to get it in a literal ball.
Right. The $10 pledge will get you a digital copy of the book of your choice. And $20 will give you the extravaganza, where you get all of them for digital. And then there's the 30. I don't know why that 31 is $1 one is posted first, but and for the retailer one pack, if you're a retailer, you get a cut rate deal. You get a retailer pack for $20.
So if you are not a retailer, but you have an LCS that maybe might be interested in picking this up, you should definitely let them know about that.
Mm-hmm. And the extravaganza all digital plus catch up. That sounds like something you put on fries, bud.
Nice.
I don't know. It doesn't have a price on here.
$40.
Oh, does it?
Yep.
Oh, there it is. $40. You can get the extravaganza plus all the catch-ups for the previous issues in there. Yeah.
Okay, so what? Oh, so this is all of the earlier Kickstarters as well.
Yeah. The all digital catch-up. So that'll give you the previous issues of Twilight, Grimm, and Kalis. And the Sirens #1.
Okay.
So that's what the $40 will give you, with the current books plus the previous books for this current Kickstarter. And then, of course, if you go onto the add-ons after you've made your pledge, and you see any of the other books that you want, you can add them on individually.
And that's the same place where you can add on for art commissions, the art, the T-shirts. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Awesome.
The T-shirts are a new thing. For this Kickstarter, we've decided to start selling T-shirts ahead of time. And the first thing, of course, I asked, because I am the CFO, I said, T-shirts, are we buying those up front? No, they're printed on demand. I was like, okay.
Good, that's better.
Yeah. Otherwise, I was going to say no.
Well, this is a really cool looking campaign. I feel like it's a really cool group of people. And I mean, you definitely are offering a lot. So I would recommend people go and check it out. See if there's anything up there that maybe you are interested in getting in on. Because I feel like there's probably something for just about everyone. The way that if these covers are any indication.
What we've been managing to do so far is we've had the last 3 campaigns have had 4 books each time, because we've just got so many books. We cannot do a Kickstarter every month, because not only would that not even cover all of the books that we have, but people would be burned out on Silverline Kickstarter if we had one every single month. So we've had to lump our books together. And what we've been fortunate enough so far in being able to do is have like type books all together. So we had a science fiction extravaganza 3 Kickstarters ago, and then we had a superhero extravaganza, the last one, and now we have a horror one, which is just in time for Halloween.
Absolutely.
So I'm anxious to see. I know that Divinity is kickstarting in November, and I'm anxious to see what the lineup is going to be that I share that one with.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Maybe
it will be.
Maybe they'll throw this Christmas special in there.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I do know that Divinity has gone over extremely well, so I'm looking forward to that one very much. But right now, I'm glad that I have a chance to show off my coloring skills, my brand new 2-year-old coloring skills. And here's the thing. I use a $10 app called Procreate, okay? Which is insanely cheap. The expenditure is the iPad. That's like $1,200 for an iPad, right? But the app itself is only like $9.99. At least it was when I bought it. And it's like Photoshop for Dummies, which being that I was 60 years old and had never done a bit of digital art in my life, was perfect for me. I said, if a 5-year-old can understand it, that it's right up my eye. And it has been, and I know a lot of other artists who are going with Procreate too. So it was very easy to learn, and I absolutely fell in love with it. It's like, why have I been wasting all these years, just being an art snob with my brushes and my India ink, when I could have been just having the time of my life? And it speeds me up a lot too.
Yeah. And it's, as long as you can keep yourself from doing the dreaded forever Zoom that can happen. Because I've watched artists spend all this time super zoomed in, and then they zoom back out on their whole piece. And I was like, you literally can see nothing that you just spent 4 hours doing. I just want you to know that. And they're like, well, I was like, unless you're going to blow it up the size of a building, no one will see it. And I was like,
They have those TikToks though, where you start on an image and then you zoom out and out and out, and it just for like 2 solid minutes.
And it's every time I see that, I'm like, I mean, it's cool for this one exact specific instance of you zooming out forever.
You better get a billion hits on this video.
But once that's done, what's she going to do with that art? Like, at what point are you going to stop your zoom and be like, this? Because
another thing that you get go down into a rabbit hole is shading. And right off the bat, I knew that I'm not an experienced colorist, at least not yet. I started out knowing just 30 years worth of being a comic book artist and soaking in the atmosphere of it. So I started out, and I still do it 3 years later, is that I basically pick 3 colors per piece. Your basic color, your shadow, your highlight, and pretty much keep it that, unless you're going to go with some special effects and stuff like that. You've got 3 colors per shirt for your face, pants, whatever. You got your highlights, your lowlights, and your base color. And
what's really funny is people have hacks too, where they do it super, super quick where all of the shadow in that piece is one color, and then you do multiply overlay.
Yeah. I've done that
And
too.
then it's like, and there you go. Everything has a shadow, and it was all the same color of blue. You're like, okay, like, yeah, that's a way to do it. Like,
Yeah,
there are many.
you can do a mask, a reverse mask to accomplish that.
Yeah,
on
exactly.
Procreate. So
Mhm.
yeah, it was so simple to learn, and because I had tried Photoshop at some point. I'm like, I'm either too stupid or this is too complicated, and I'm not a stupid person.
Photoshop is tricky. Like Photoshop has a lot that you can do, but it is a very
complicated
it's a
program.
very steep learning curve to get there. And Sai and I will discover like one new thing that we can do in Photoshop, and then everything that we do has it, because I'm like, I learned it. I'm not going to forget it. I'm going to use it for everything. This looks so much better. Like, you use it and then you're like, okay, teach me one more thing, just one, and make it easy. Like, don't show me how you do that shit. I know I can animate if I really want to in Photoshop, but I don't want to do that. And that sounds horrible.
You can
I'm
select
constantly
everything
learning.
in a layer with control, clicking on the layer in the layers list.
New thing.
Well, that's something that would have been easy to know ahead of time. Motherfucker. All right. On that note, thank you so
You
much,
asked.
Barb. Thank you so much, Barb, for hanging out with us. This has been an absolute pleasure. It's been wonderful talking with you.
Well, I've had a lot of fun.
Yeah, that makes me happy. Thank you, everybody who's been hanging out in the chat. You guys are always epic. Please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to Red Valkyrie. Don't forget to share this out and go check out everything that Silverline has to offer. Constantly rolling out new stuff on Kickstarter right now. They've got their horror pack going. Go and check that out. And we will
SilverlineComics.com.
There you go. Very good, Barb. We will catch you guys at 8 o'clock, where we're going to have Rini on for her launch day of Fiendish 2. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us, and we will see you later. Bye.
Bye.